Hello everyone, Dave Rosen here. Just wanted to make a video this evening to announce to everyone that I have not stopped my campaign. Of course, you guys know that I ran for Congressional District 2 here in South Carolina up to November the 5th. November 5th that just passed here on 2024. This came tonight to let you know this is a continuation of my campaign. I will be running for 2026. For those who have been asking, I have gotten a lot of emails, a lot of people reaching out to me to see if I'm running for the next election. And I am tonight to let everyone know that exactly what's going on. We're definitely going to keep this campaign going. We had a significant amount of voters out there, over 40% of the vote against a 23-year incumbent, now going on 24-year incumbent, and that is significant. That is significant. That's the voice of the people who is asking for change. Who's asking for proper representation. So of course, I cannot stop. At this point when we have so much at stake when it comes to the things that I've talked about the most: infrastructure, education. Things that we value, like investing in our middle class and our working class, and make sure we have entrepreneurs that is building up in our rural areas as well as our marginalized communities to help build up their communities as well. So again, the proper investments in places that matters is very important to not only myself as a constituent of South Carolina, but to many more in the state. In order for us to go forward, we have to be ready for those new changes that's happening in our state, that's happening in our country as well. We definitely need representation that is not exclusive to a party or to a president. A president don't live in the state, don't know what we go through here in the state, don't live like we live in the state. But someone who come from the state, someone who's been there, who's been a single parent like myself, who know how it is to live, and when someone is making these decisions for you and what's happening in our workplace. So again, I just want to let everybody know that I am running in 2026, and it's very important to do so. Again, I want to tell everybody. I see someone in the chat session. If you're there, I will be doing this every Friday. I'm still pushing this for Friday every week. If I have to miss some weeks because I'm actually doing some movement around the state, I will let everybody know. But this my intention is to be here every week at 8:30 p.m. I told you guys that before during the campaign. I told you guys that it was going to be continuing after the campaign, regardless if I won or not. This is something I want to keep going to make sure, like I said again, I'm representing everyone in my district. I really thank you, Team Wildflower. I know you're not here in the state, but I really appreciate everything you have done, helping definitely with the moderation, and also following my son's story and helping with Daniel. So I really appreciate it. So you guys will also see me doing that while I'm running for. And again, I'm still a candidate for 2026 now. But we cannot register until I think it's going to be around March of 2026 when we'll be able to register as a candidate to get our name on the ballot, maybe for a primary or something that's going straight to the general election. This time it's going to be November the 3rd. This year was November the 5th, but in 2026 it'll be November the 3rd. So I'll be running for November the 3rd of 2026 for those who want to mark that on their calendar. I still have the website site up, davidrobinsonforcongress.com, for those who want to join the campaign to help. I need all the help I can get. I need all the volunteers that we can get to make sure that we're getting the word out. That is someone running up against the incumbent, Joe Wilson. I'm still going to continue to do so. But I want to point out some things real quick, and I put this up before. This is what campaign don't supposed to look like. And I'm not just, when I'm saying this, I'm putting up Joe Wilson's headquarters. This is during the campaign. It's very offensive to me for a person who's from the state, born and raised from the state. I have not met Joe Wilson ever, to even in doing the campaign trail. Never met him in our communities. No one in our community know who Joe Wilson is, except for those when we heard of him when he called President Obama a liar, the first black president. He did it during a State of the Union address. It was very disrespectful to the office of the presidency, embarrassed our state. I used to hear that from all across the country. And I still didn't know who Joe Wilson is until I ran up against him and know, yeah, I understand the reason why he don't come to our communities. He don't come into the NAACP forums that would be able to give him an opportunity to know what's happening in districts like in areas like my areas I grew up in, in our district. And I really believe that our district is only strong as the weakest link. If any of our districts falling behind, anyone in our district, our rural areas, our marginalized communities, working communities, farm communities, anybody falling behind, then our whole entire district is falling behind. And Joe Wilson has been in there for 23 years and doing the same thing. We repeating the same thing over and over again. It's a tragedy. When we see people build up this dynasty for themselves, they build this name. And I even talked to some people that say, "Hey, I vote for Joe Wilson because that's all I always did." And so, but you have to vote for your interests. You have to vote for your interests and make sure that you have someone actually thinking about you, thinking about everyone in the district, not think about a party, not think about a president. I don't represent a president. I don't represent a current president. I'm not representing the next president. They don't live in the state. They don't know what exactly happened in our state. So what I'm representing is our state, taking it to Washington and trying to get some changes that affects us here in the state. And that's what being a representative is all about. It's not about looking out for your own pocket. It's not taking the sides of big money, these big corporations. All of you big buddies, y'all get to go to shoot golf together and things like that, while people in your communities are doing badly. So again, we're going to change that narrative. We're going to change those points in 2026. And in order for me to do that, I have to start now. You're not going to do something overnight. You're not going to be the 23-year incumbent just overnight. It's something that you have to work on. I even heard from one of the congressmen here, Clyburn. He said he had to run 3 times before he won. So sometimes things like that happen. I'm not expecting to run 3 times. I didn't expect to run again. I'm sure I would have won this election. But the thing is, you just cannot stop. You cannot stop there when you know it's something very important that you have to do. It's very important for the people in your state. And I'm going to keep on pushing that. So I want to push that out real quick. And I just showed the picture here because I just wanted it always make me, when I pass by this place, I didn't know it was actually Joe Wilson's campaign office. I was passing by the whole time. I said, man, this person really loved Trump. And I used to pass by with my campaign vehicle and putting out the signs and things like that. And I passed a lot in my district. And it's really, really every time I looked at it, but when they say, "Hey, no, that's Joe Wilson's headquarters," and I didn't know that. If you look really good, you can see the word headquarters on the building itself. And I didn't know that, and it was very offensive because it's nothing there that says he represents South Carolina. It's nothing there. He say he's representing the people of South Carolina. He's representing a person who don't live in the state. I get it. You can have a president that you like, a person you want to be president, a person you want in office. I get all of that. But when you're representing the people of South Carolina, you have never seen any. I have never. I wasn't representing Kamala Harris when she was running for president. I wasn't representing Joe Biden, President Joe Biden. When I'm on the campaign trail, nobody's seen any of those things hanging on my vehicle or hanging on my location of my office or anything on my literature or anything. I'm representing the people of South Carolina, trying to get the seat to make sure we're doing the right things. Also, for those like T and Wildflower that I just spoke of, no, I was fighting for the missing Americans here. We have in South Carolina alone every year we have over 2,500 people that go missing in our state every year in this state, and so people just don't know that we have 170 people currently missing already. For the beginning of the year in the state. That was in February and March of this year. So the numbers have grown. The number grows really rapidly. It grows really fast. We have over 2,500 children go missing in this country every day. And we have 600,000 Americans go missing every year. So I'm representing a lot. I have a lot here. The reasons why I'm running. I have a missing son of my own, and those things are important to me. Those things are important, and it's also important to everyone in the state. Sometimes you think it won't affect you, but it does. So I definitely have to stand up for those. Also, I just heard something today made me smile. I was listening to the local news here in South Carolina, and they had a couple of people like McMaster and some governor talking about burying these power lines. I smiled because that was part of my campaign. I was out there talking about why these power lines are not buried. You can see right here in this picture right here by Joe Wilson's campaign office, those power lines. These things should be buried. And if you really look at it, I've looked at the areas that, and I will be putting it up on one of these podcasts, but I look at the areas that has a lot of investment on buried power lines, and it's always in these areas where South Carolina making money, Hilton Head, or is Charleston, these city areas where they don't need all this investment in those power lines first. Again, you'll hear. I'm going to play a video real shortly here. You'll hear these people making all these excuses about money, 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 money. That's it. Y'all Republicans, money, 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 cost money. And they sound the same with the CEO of the electric company. He's saying money, 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 it's gonna cost money. Yeah, it's gonna cost money, 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 right? But they never talk about how much it costs the American people here in the state every time we have a hurricane, every time we have a severe thunderstorm, when we have ice storm in the state. I mean, anything that happens that causes those power lines to go down, and these people losing all their money in groceries. We lose a lot of money. I'm going to talk about that too, right, real quickly here. How much money every citizen lose when we lose our electricity, but they'll talk about their own pockets. They're talking about the pockets of these electric companies. These electric companies act like they're doing us a favor somehow. That hey, that's their product. We're buying their product. When you're paying your electric bill, you're buying their product, right? It's like paying your cell phone bills. You're not saying hey to a AT&T company or a Samsung or iPhone, say, hey, look, you know what? Y'all need to put some wings on these phones so they can start flying. And they say it's gonna cost money to put wings. That's not our problem. Is the problem is for them to provide a service that don't cause us to lose our power. And that's what we should be. That's the way our language should be. If you listen to these Republicans, and I'm again, you guys, I'm gonna say this for the state. They call us a red state, and for a reason. Democrats have not had power in the state for a long, long time. In fact, the Republicans have a super majority. So when your power lines go out, when you have these issues like that, when you have these companies ruling over your pocketbook, it comes from the Republicans. They all locked in together. These guys are locked in together. I'm sure they probably get some type of kickbacks and everything else. So what I'm saying is, you guys got to listen to their language. Their language are cold joint with these electric companies. We have over 20 electric companies here in the state. And you're gonna hear these guys talking about how it costs about $2 billion to bury these power lines for his company, right? The CEO, this electric company. So if it costs $2 billion to do that, the federal government give you almost $1 billion for infrastructure money. He's putting in about $2 billion of your own infrastructure money. These things can be done. First of all, the second part, again, like I said, it should not be based on what the company thinks, and how much they're going to charge. No, we need to make sure we're leveraging these companies. We had this company one time ago called SCE&G. I remember growing up as a kid. That's all we had. And they had this big monopoly. I mean, it was taking up all these spaces here in the state, running the whole electric grid and everything else, right? And then they had to break it up. They had to find a way to break it up, and that's why we have these different companies so they can compete. So it won't be no more monopoly in the state. And but now, not just one monopoly. It's like a super monopoly. But the monopoly is not against the state; is against the people who live in the state. When they're putting you on a gridlock to say, "Hey, look, we're gonna charge you X amount of dollars to put our product that we should have had already buried underground." No, it should not go that way. They're already doing these. You look around every time you look on the news, you hear these electric companies asking for a rate hike. And they'll penny pinch you all the way down to, up to taking every dime and squeeze every money out your pocket. So what I'm saying is, um, do y'all want that? Do people here in the state want that? I doubt that anybody want that. So we cannot let these Republicans keep on scheming and jiving you and fast talking you and make you feel like they're doing something for you. And you look at it, they always call them broke mouth. You know what I'm saying? Look, you can see when I play this video how they're sounding that they are really kicking these cans down the road. The way they're talking, what they're really saying is, we're not going to do anything for you. We're just going to talk about it. We're going to look at this thing, and then they're going to rub it off that you guys will never hear it about again. But you know what the problem is to that, and I really believe it's part of my campaign when I'm out there constantly talking about burying these power lines, and then all of a sudden that conversation is up here now. It hadn't been up here ever before. It hadn't been here since Hurricane Hugo back in 1989. but they're talking about it now because it's part of a campaign. It's part of something that was been spoken out there since Helene, and now they're pushing the corner to talk about it. But watch what they try to do, and I'm not going to allow them to do it for this next 2 years here in 2026. I will be continually talking about this infrastructure upgrade. I will continually talking about putting money into our education system. I will continually talk about the little snake they dress up in the put a snake in a dress and make it look pretty. And those Republicans are very good at that. Oh, we are helping this marginalized communities. We're helping this rural area by putting these investments in these companies to come in and build their business in these communities. No, these companies are coming in to build in this community and push the citizens out of there, making them pay money that they can't afford, made them pay for these townhouses and stuff. They want to build these nice infrastructure stuff with no without having some type of investments in job creation. The people, the local folks having those jobs while they're building these things, and also making the house affordable, have these affordable homes. So I'll be talking about all these kind of things along the campaign trail for these 2 years. It's gonna be a long one for these 2 years, but it's necessary. I'll be going to these communities to talk to people about these certain issues. I will get everybody riled up against these Republicans in the state and let them know, hey, look, it's time for a change. It's time for you to do the right thing. For me to keep on talking, I'll keep on talking. So I'm going to play this video because I want to play it, and then I'll talk about it as I go.
Days or even longer to get the lights back on after Hurricane Helene. Power lines and poles snapped around much of the state, plus larger infrastructure damage left more than 1 million South Carolina homes and businesses in the dark.
State House reporter Mary Green explains if those widespread outages might spark a push to bury more power lines here in South Carolina.
And I want to say real quick again, that push come from my constant talk out there about the infrastructure, my constant talk about them burying these power lines. And I'm sure when I talked to J.R. Berry and Channel 19, for those who were here, that conversation went up there. That conversation went out there like, yeah, that's true. Mr. Robinson is right. Why are these lines are not buried after Hurricane Hugo for all these years, over 35 years, and we still have power lines over ground? It should have been a long time ago. Telephone poles, the whole line above ground came from back in the days of the cowboy days when they had those little things they used to tap on. I can't think of the name of it, and they just send a message from one city to another. Those are outdated infrastructure. It's outdated. Something that's not in the future. It's not in the 21st this century. It's not even for 2024, you guys. So again, sorry for cutting that off, but I wanted to throw that in there so everybody can see what I'm talking about.
Snapped and downed power lines, a common sight across dozens of South Carolina counties in the wake of Helene, leaving many to wonder if the devastation from the storm will prompt more above-ground power lines to be buried.
It'd be a good investment if you get somebody to pay for it, but money's not free.
Bob Pauling is the CEO of Mid-Carolina Electric Cooperative,
one
of the state's 18 co-ops, which collectively provide power to about a third of South Carolinians. He says the cost of burying power lines can be around 10 to 15 times more expensive than installing above-ground lines. Just for Mid-Carolina, he says that could easily be about a $2 billion price tag, and about a third of its lines are already below the ground.
To put all the power lines underground, just in case another major hurricane comes in the next 100 years, would just be a really, really, really interesting business decision to make.
Now I had to cut this guy off on that point he's trying to make. He's speaking about, and I want you guys to hear these points. And again, I'm saying you really hear how the Republicans would talk along with this guy. He's a CEO of that company, electric company, but he's talking about 100 years. We have storms here almost every. I'm going to give y'all those numbers shortly. We have many storms here in South Carolina. Many. When I say many, I'm not making that up. I'll give those exact numbers shortly. But we have thunderstorms. We have severe thunderstorms that take out power lines and take out trees. It's not just hurricanes. And we don't have hurricanes once every 100 years and things like. We have hurricanes at least twice. We have at least 2 to 3 or more hit our state every year. They may be small in form of tropical storms and things like that, but they hit us and they cause damages in certain areas of our state every year. This is an every year thing. And then the major ones, yes, They may be a lot of times on those lengthy times apart from each other. But we have these thunderstorms that come out every summer. Anybody can tell you here in South Carolina, we always gonna have a thunderstorm. We can have a beautiful day, and then next thing you know, something big cloud come and the thunderstorm come and big high winds come and tear some stuff up sometimes, right? And so again, especially as some of those that live in Orangeburg County, when you have these not tornadoes come through there and tear things up. So again, these are a bunch of excuses that Republicans gonna keep throwing out there. But so they want to spend money on what they want to spend money on, and then you start looking at the infrastructure, say, what are they really spending the money on? When I give you these numbers, you're gonna ask that same question.
State House leaders have pledged to put South
Okay,
Carolina's recovery after Helene at the top of their priorities when lawmakers gavel back in here in January. But based on early conversations, their focus is not on what the state's role in burying power lines might be.
Obviously.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop right here again. You hear what she's saying? Their priority is not even there. They're not even caring about these power lines issue. They hear that came up on them when they're about to go on their little happy recess and go home and eat their turkey and go for holidays and stuff. And that's less on my mind. The people in the rural communities, that's ain't even on my mind. The people in the marginalized community, that's not even on my mind. We're just gonna talk this thing away. Yeah, it's not on our top priority. Why is it not a priority? You know, and so we're gonna talk about those again. Again, you guys, I hate to keep breaking this up, and it's probably good I break it up because I want to violate no type of policy when it comes to playing this video. But I tell you what, we're gonna talk about those priorities that the Republicans don't think that should be. It should be a priority.
We will come back and look at issues, how we can mitigate some of these disasters. And so, but one thing that we know about burying power lines is it's very expensive.
There have been some issues, even with the storm, in some of the areas where there have buried power lines. So it's not a one size solves that issue. So I think we just have to have more evaluation.
In press briefings following the immediate aftermath of Helene, Governor Henry McMaster told reporters he believed the government could have a role in this work, but not in Columbia.
That would be a good federal project, but they're expensive.
Hey, once again, McMaster, the governor of the state, hasn't gonna kick the ball down. Now you're gonna point it at the federal government. It's the federal government responsibility. I heard the same guy doing Helene came up there in the same manner he's standing there now and blamed this whole issue of the power lines on the storm itself. You know, so you listen to this part. I'm going to show you really quick again. When I finish this, we'll show you what Joe Wilson would say about this as well. But you guys, it's really cynical. If you really guys look at these guys, you just laugh at the way they actually kicking the ball, and the reason why we have so many issues here in the state.
We wouldn't have some of the problems we have now if we had more in certain places, and of course that would save us a lot of these expenses. But there are a lot of discussions. Every time we have something like this, we learn things that we can do a little bit better.
Obviously, the utilities, those costs are passed on to the ratepayers. So I would agree with the governor. This would be a great federal issue for them to engage in.
So now, see what I'm saying? If you hear what the last guy said, this would pass on to the consumers. You know, hey, we get this thing done. It's not going to come from the funding, the federal funding. It's not going to come from the dollars that should be allocated towards this. It's going to come from the rate hike. We're going to allow these utility companies to put on the customers itself for something they should be doing, a service they should be providing. You know, if you guys are actually a provider for services, that is your product. Your product is those telephone lines. Your telephone lines is the problem. And those problems need to be fixed. So it's on the onus is on those companies to bear if I want to put a DAM word in here, bear their power lines. It's not on the onus is not on to the consumers to bear it for them. You know, and it's not on the onus for them to be able to get a rate hike to make us pay for it. Again, we're already paying our tax dollars for infrastructure. We are already paying. So these dollars need to be used the correct way. And again, these are kind of things I will be talking about on this campaign trail leading up to 2026 and continuations of it. But I want to stop real quick, and I'm put Joe Wilson real quick here. And he even agreed with me. And I said, hey, look, it's a problem. It's very concerning. I'm very disappointed. He says, and the crazy part about it, this Republican, he's also speaking about this as in it's the federal government's fault. The federal government didn't do the right thing. He is the federal government. You are, when you're representing this district and you're there in Congress in the federal government, you are bringing the federal government money to the state. So it is on you. Again, kicking the ball down the road, throwing those little things out to the consumers, to the constituents, like it's somebody else's fault, and say, yeah, the government is doing. No, you are the government. Let's get this thing going. Let's get this federal dollars being put some stipulations on that money to make sure that this state master and the rest of them are utilizing that money properly. Again, it should not just be an open thing. And like also what Joe Wilson is suggesting for these companies coming in these rural areas to build and do it. Yeah, we don't want no federal oversight. So they can do what the hell they want to. Excuse my expression, but doing what they want to do in the state and push these people out of their homes and make the homeless population grow and things like that. And we wonder why these things are happening in our state as well as some of those other states out there, those bigger states. So again, we have to be smart about how we're utilizing that money. Money is here. Money is offered. We had, for instance, again, Joe Wilson. He did everything he can to kill Affordable Care Act. That affects everybody in our state. Many people, whether they want to admit to it or not, are benefiting from the Affordable Care Act. And the ones who are in the marginalized in the rural areas are needing it the most. And the first thing he did is make sure that he tried to tear it down. The Republicans here are also stopping the expansion of the Medicaid expansion to make sure that people are getting the full benefits of the Affordable Care. We don't get that here in South Carolina. It's not the Democrats that's doing it too. So we say, man, I'm still paying this money for this Affordable Care. Talk to the Republicans about it. They're purposely sabotaging those benefits from you guys not to get those, so you can complain about the Affordable Care Act, so that big man up there that they get ready to put in office now can have some talking point to say, yeah, that's why we need to get rid of the Affordable Care because it's not good. No, they're making sure it don't feel good to you guys. And so we got to stop playing these games. But here you go. I'm going to let Joe Wilson tell you how bad it is and how much is a problem from when you're not preparing. When you're not preparing. Here it is in 1985, we had 89, excuse me, 1989 when we had Hurricane Hugo. And if you're not properly preparing by properly investing in these infrastructure upgrades, burying these power lines since Hurricane Hugo, if you started learning your lesson, if you would learn your lesson then, you would have started burying them then, and we'd be talking about in 2024 about, it costs this kind of money, and those things would have already been done. But here you go.
I'm very disappointed because, indeed, you prepare for the worst. And this was worse than worse, except that there should have been better preparation, and particularly there should have been an understanding that there would be extraordinary damage by flooding from Aiken up to western North Carolina.
I am David Robinson, and I approve this message. And I really do. I approve that. I approve that message because if you do proper investments in our infrastructure, we will not have these issues. Again, I'm going to talk about the cost of that. You guys, the cost of doing what's right in our state. Hurricane Hugo came in 1989. And if you was to look at from 1989 to the point that we're at right now in 2024 when Hurricane Helene hit, it would have cost about $571.43 million per year investment in our infrastructure, in particular, just burying our power lines, right? And I'm gonna tell you something, you guys. That thing would have been done right then, all the way up to now. All the power lines in the state would have been buried, right? We spend more than that. We spend more than $571 million per year on infrastructure, and I will give you those numbers really shortly. The cost of South Carolina's per year when we lose our groceries every year now, you guys, combined we lose over 150 million per year of lost groceries. But you don't hear the Republicans crying broke mouth and crying about that, right? They're not crying about your pockets. They're crying about their own pockets, their kickbacks or whatever the case going on. How they can help save a company money, how they can give a company a more tax rates hikes or whatever to take out of your pocket to pay for something they should be doing. So those type things. The cost of doing what's right again. Hurricane season is between June the 1st and November the 30th every year. We have category 5s or higher that hit South Carolina every 3 to 5 years. And that is a fact. That's what happens every 3 to 5 years. We have a cat 5 or higher that can hit the state. The smaller hurricanes that we have is at least 1 or 2 per year, right? So we always gonna have these power line issues. So when this guy's gonna sit there and trick you guys and talk about 100 years, yeah, we do something for 100 years. We're preparing for something that's gonna happen every 100 years. So you're gonna wait till 100 years and for it to happen to someone again, and we start losing lives and people losing their groceries and everything else. You're not gonna do anything because it's not worth one person's life or worth somebody's groceries that they're paying for or whatever the case may be. That's a really throw off. Like I say again, kicking the can down the road and punting the ball, and that's what they're very good at. And also, we can have the severe thunderstorms that happen 30 to 40 times per year. Again, for those who don't live in South Carolina, you should know we have thunderstorms every year. And these thunderstorms are not the smaller thunderstorms. They're not a joke. We have a lot of wind. We have a lot of, there's a lot of everything. Some flooding. Sometimes it depends. It depends on what type of severe thunderstorm come through here. But we have them every year. We have them every year, and that's always expected, especially in our summer months. It's just a part of being here in South Carolina. Again, tropical storms. We get those 2 to 3 times per year. Again, knocking down our power lines and our infrastructure, tearing things up. So what this guy is talking about when he's talking about 100 years, he's talking about playing games with the safety and the infrastructure that we should be having. So again, whatever money they're trying to save and whatever, not using that, because I could look around and guys, we talk about all the time here in the state. Where's the money going? Now they're talking about penny tax, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Money, but then we're not seeing the returns on those monies. We hear them complaining and crying about how much something going to cost when it comes to saving lives, when it comes to saving people's money, our own investments in our state. Oh, it's the federal government's job. It's something they should be looking at, not us, that kind of stuff, man. These are Republicans, again, you guys, I'm telling you, again, and I'm not saying that they're trying to divide or anything. It's the facts. You look it up, you guys. You can Google it. Who has the supermajority in our state legislature here in South Carolina? Republicans. We do not have enough Democrats to make a difference. If only time things happen with Democrats, we're working really hard out there. Our local guys out there is when they're making these relationships with Republicans, and then they somehow pass. But we don't have the power to pass anything without any Republicans saying, "Hey, look, we'll do it." Right. So anything that happens in a bad, dramatic way, look at who's been doing it for many years. When it's the so-called red state, it's not a red state, but we'll talk about this some other time in this campaign, because we do have the numbers to make sure that we have a balance in our state house, a balance in, and when I say the checks and balances here in the state, it shouldn't be one-sided. But South Carolina receives federal funding through the bipartisan infrastructure law, the bill. And the highway and bridges receive $990 million per year. We have the public transportation, $74.6 million per year. We have the broadband expansion, $110.3 million per year. We also have the water infrastructure, $53.4 million per year. Airport infrastructure, $24.5 million per year, which I think the airport should be a whole lot better than it is now with that kind of money going into it. Have you guys seen the Columbia Airport? And they now got Joe Wilson's name running up into it. Electric vehicle charging infrastructure, $14 million per year. But these things are coming from the passing of the Infrastructure Act from the Biden administration. South Carolina receives about $1.2568 billion per year in federal infrastructure funding. So when they call broke mouth, you got to ask the question what they're talking about. And then the funny part about the stipulation on that money is that the state itself have to contribute amount that's almost equal to that amount. So it's plenty plenty money going into burying those power lines, but they want to make excuses and say, oh, it's going to cost money, and they have their little CEO come up from the company itself saying, oh yeah, we're going to charge you, and the cost is going to come passing down to you guys. No, who's standing up for the consumer here? Who's standing up for the people here in this state? Those guys there, they don't sound like it. They're letting the company telling you what they're gonna do. Like, no, it don't roll that way. If I had my choice, it don't roll that way. It don't work that way. And we have to make sure we're stopping that kind of foolish and that madness. But anyway, they want to punt the ball again. So that's the kind of thing I want to talk about when I'm talking on my campaign trail here. Is those things I have been saying for years, things I've been feeling for years, sitting behind the couch or TV watching news, local news, and really angry about some things you see. When you can just open your eyes and look at how things are rolling, and you see these Republicans going to freewheeling what they're doing, and we get so used to something being complacent when things can get a whole lot better for our state, and we somehow have gotten used to it. And it's sad, but you have to have someone that wake things up and say, no, we got to have some changes here. No, we're not going to do the same thing for 23 years, 24, 25 years, Joe Wilson now. You know, we're not going to do those things over and over again. People building these names and taking taxpayer money and taking their kids through schools and think they owning things like, oh, I got my name on a building now, and then we're not seeing the returns in our cities, in our areas that need this money, or need this attention. What deservings are there if for to have these names on buildings and roads and all this kind of stuff going on, and when you're not actually doing anything for the people? You're doing something for the people, all right? Doing stuff for these corporations. You're doing people in your communities, those who vote for you, those kind of things. No, it don't work that way. When you're a representative, you represent everyone. I don't care what party they are. They don't like you. I know people don't like me. That doesn't matter to me. Not when you're trying to do a job. People tell you. When I run up fighting out there in Arizona for my son, I don't care what the feelings, how law enforcement feel. I just care about them doing their job. Who cares about your feelings? You have to do your job. You have to do your job. If you're a representative for the state, you have to do your job. It's not about your feelings and your own ideas about what you want to do for yourself. It's all about the people and everything else. So again, that's what I'm running for. I'm running for to make sure that I'm standing up for what's right. I'm standing up for my son. I'm standing for all those missing Americans out there. I'm trying to do everything I can to help everyone that's in my purview that I can see, and definitely try to do the right thing. So again, I'm here tonight to let everyone know that I am running for 2026. I need all the support. I definitely need donations. One of the things that we had a problem with in my campaign is what's the funding. I have a lot of things that I do. People know I'm got to get ready to, for those who listening in on from my son's side, I see you right there on Instagram. Yeah, I'm getting ready to do another desert search out there in 2026, on the spring of 2026 in Arizona. And everybody who wants to join in on that can go to pleasehelpfindane.com and learn more. I will be posting and talking about that coming this weekend, adding more content about that. I need funding for both. I need funding for that aspiration, and also here for this run for Congress. But they're two separate things. And I'm not here to get in federal, because we have the FCC to deal with when we're talking about campaign finances. So I'm making sure that everybody understands these are two separate things. But I'm speaking of it, but it's two separate things. It's campaign finance that I need to run my campaign. But when it comes to my son, it's going to be totally separate. Those two are two separate things. But those things need to be done. Everybody know I'm fighting for Daniel. Everybody know I'm fighting for the missing Americans out there. But the missing Americans side come with this run for Congress. My son's side come from fighting for my son. So again, thank you everybody who's been listening in, and I really appreciate your time to watch. But like I said, again, I'll be here every Friday at 8:30, as much as I can, to make sure that, if I'm not, I definitely would make sure ahead of time notice for everyone. But I really appreciate you, Wildflower. Thank you so much, Team Wildflower. Thank you so much again, Tavi, for always being here. You guys have been supporting. I put this on my son's platform as well for those who I need funding. So you guys want to go to DaveRossForCongress.com. you could donate towards the campaign. You want to help out with Daniel for this upcoming search and other things that go along with that. Please help find Daniel.com. So again, I really appreciate everyone that's here and those who are on the Instagram side of things as well. I want to say this real quick, and it's funny. And I'm lastly say this. I have been on, and I really appreciate that the prayers, Faye. I really appreciate that because we definitely need those prayers, and I continue to seek all the prayers I can get. But I want to say this one thing real quick. I was on what's that X or whatever, but now Twitter, Twitter now X, and I decided to. I really, really want to see for a while. I'm waiting, but I'm not going to post on there anytime soon. I put a post up last night, letting everyone know if they want to follow things I'm doing here, the campaign as well. I'm not going to be on X. It's too divisive. It's not a place where the platform that I'm pushing for missing Americans, the platform I'm pushing for changing my state. The X has turned to something else. It's not a place where it's productive, or it's a place that reflects what the values is that I'm trying to push. So I really, really, with a heavy heart, don't really want to put anything on that social media platform. And I'm not encouraging anybody to stop. You can do what you want to do. I'm just saying personally, for me, it's not a place in the atmosphere to engage in. I don't think if you're for me, a person that I am would benefit from that social media platform when the owner of that platform is very divisive. The owner of that platform is trying to separate everyone, that kind of stuff, and it's really hurtful to even have to say that, because I look at social media as a tool to get things out, and I just can't see the value in it anymore. But just let everybody know, if you don't see any posts and you see all the posts coming on Instagram, Meta, all that stuff, TikTok or something, that's the reason why you don't see anything start slowing down or stop at all on Twitter. That's the reason why. So again, the live is not on right now tonight on Twitter because I decided not to. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. Take care of yourself. And again, I will be back here on 8:30 on Friday. So again, if you want to join the campaign, davidrobinsonforcongress.com. I would love to have you on board. I need all the support I can to get the word out. Thank you so much. Talk to you next time.